Hi YouTube, this is Cypher and I'm back with my review of lesson 4 coming up right now. So lesson 4 was on the 4th of September, day 50 and roughly 9 hours of practice. So again, not quite as much practice as I would have liked, but we are making some progress, which is good. My hand is getting a lot stronger, so I'm up to around about 15 minutes a day of practice. So I'm hoping that the practice hours are going to come up a fair bit. In this lesson, we looked at what I've been doing previously, so the Black Eyed Peas, I've Got a Feeling, working with the metronome, which I've got here. That adds a fair amount of pressure, but I am getting there. And the other thing that we did is we looked at how I'm holding the pick. Now I'll try and put some close-ups in the video, but basically what I was doing is I had my thumb across the pick and my finger was across it in the opposite direction, which was fine, but it was giving some rigidity to my hand. It wasn't quite as flexible. So what Michael's had me do is to move the pick onto the top of my first finger with just a small amount showing, and then lay my thumb across the top of the pick, and then that gives me a much easier, more fluid movement, in particular when I'm picking out the notes. So I'm going to have to get used to that new way of holding things, and obviously now I've got to make sure that I'm hitting the notes correctly with the new way of holding. So with regards to the Black Eyed Peas, where we're at the moment, let me just turn the Moogie on, set it running. I'm just running at 100 beats a minute with the option 4. So, still need to do a little bit of work. I can feel that I'm occasionally in front and occasionally behind the beat. So that's something I need to work on, is working with the metronome. But it is making life a bit easier, in particular with the picking and certainly holding the pick in that way. So we reviewed the individual notes, and then the next step in this particular exercise is to go on to the chords. My nemesis, the bit I really hate. Now if you are following along, don't forget that I've got the music, so both the music and the tab, in the exercise sheet, which is linked in the description below. So if you want to follow along, please download that. It's on a Google Drive, readily available. And if this is your first time here, please like and subscribe. It all helps. And I very much appreciate all of my subscribers and those of you that are following along and commenting. It's very much appreciated. Right, so with regards to the chords, we are looking at, now I'm not going to name out the strings. Somebody mentioned to me that a lot of guitarists just work on the tablature. They don't actually want to know the names of the actual strings. So I'm going to adopt the usual, where the high E string, or the one furthest away from you, is string number 1, and then number 2, 3, 4, 5, and the low E will be the 6th string. And that seems to be what most people do online. So for the chords, we start off with, on the first string, so that's the high E, but the first string in the 3rd fret, and we are strumming strings 3, 2 and 1. So the first 3 strings from the bottom up. And we're strumming that for 8 notes. just try and make sure that you hit all 3 of the strings. And the other thing that I'm trying to do is to make sure that my hand keeps moving in that gentle rhythm, the consistent rhythm. So once we've done the 8 notes on the 3rd fret, we then move on to the 2nd string and the 1st fret. And again, it's string number 1, 2 and 3. So from 3, 2, 1 downwards. And we want 8 of those. And then the difficult one is we jump up to the 4th string and we want to have the 2nd fret, and again 8 of those strumming strings number 4, 3, 2 and 1. Now the other thing that I'm doing in particular on this string is I need to make sure that when I'm playing the chords that I'm not muting strings. So it makes sense to play them out while I'm learning this, 1 string at a time. So you can hear there I'm muting that one. The others are okay, and what I need to do is just to move my fingers around. Just bring my thumb around the back, something I'm getting nagged at a lot by Michael. Okay, so that's what we're listening for. So not muting. So that's what I need to practice at the moment. So just to go through that again, we're looking at the bottom 3 strings, 3rd fret for 8 notes. Then the 2nd string, 1st fret. Just try not to get it too twangy and deadening strings. Then we come up to the 4th string on the 2nd fret, and now we're playing all 4. And then back to the 1st fret on the 2nd string. And then if we put all of that together for the whole of the song, it should sound something like this. I'm going to try this with the metronome. I know I shouldn't, this is going to be a disaster, but let's give it a go. Well, that was pretty rubbish. I'm muting strings, and yeah, when I start coming up to the chords, it's making sure that I get the right number of strings. So the metronome does add a level of pressure, but it's something I need to get used to. I think I'm going to need to practice that one, and maybe you want to practice along too. Grab the document from below, and hopefully you'll be better than me when I look at the next lesson, which is going to be lesson 5 in a couple of weeks' time. Till then, thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.